Pakistan has a death squad. Now that I have your full attention, let me say this again. Pakistan has a death squad, a group of assassins who operate around the world. It also tried assassinating a president of a South Asian country, murdered journalist Daniel Pearl in Pakistan, activist Karima Baloch in Canada, activist Sajid Hussain in Sweden, attacked a blogger in the Netherlands, turned Balochistan into the land of missing people, created the Afghan Taliban, masterminded 9/11, 7/7, Uri, Pathankot, Pulwama attacks, the Indian embassy blast in Kabul. I could go on. This is a long list. So let me put this in short. Pakistan's death squad has the blood of thousands on its hands. It also has a list of dissidents that it's ticking off, one after another. Those hands pull the strings of multiple terror organizations, also sleeper cells around the world. The death squad is called the ISI, Inter-Services Intelligence, aka Pakistan's high-profile assassins. It is Pakistan's take on what an intelligence agency should be. Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. On the 20th of December, activist Karima Baloch went missing in Canada. In May this year, activist Sajid Hussain had gone missing in Sweden. Karima Baloch was found dead a day after she went missing. Sajid Hussain too was found dead. Karima reportedly had drowned. Hussain too had drowned. Karima was a Baloch, Hussain a Baloch too. Both vocal critics of Pakistan, both fled Balochistan, both found dead in a foreign country, both under mysterious circumstances, and both last seen in public spaces. Sweden was not too inclined towards probing Hussain's death from a murder angle. Canada says there is no foul play in Karima's death. Now tell me one thing. Am I the only one who sees eerie similarities between these two cases? These deaths point at Pakistan's death squad, and they're just two of the many mysterious deaths linked to the ISI. What is the ISI? Who is the ISI? Over the next few minutes, we will look at all of this. We will also look at its operations, the hit squad's victims, and find out who is the face behind it all. The ISI was formed in 1948. It was the brainchild of this man. He was the then Deputy Army Chief of Staff. He recruited men from across Pakistan's military, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. The ISI's job was to be the center of Pakistan's army, protect the country's national security, defend and promote Pakistan's interests abroad. 72 years on, the ISI has overstepped its limits. And how? It has gone rogue. It has become a death squad. Balochistan is its playground. The region is sandwiched between Iran and Afghanistan on one hand, Pakistan on another. It makes up 40% of Pakistan's territory, but its population just over 12 million of the total 200 million. That's less than 5%. This region is resource rich, but it's deprived, ignored, repressed, and currently sold to the Chinese. Balochistan has been fighting for independence from Pakistan since 1948. Pakistan has deployed its death squad in this region. Till date, over 5,000 people have gone missing. At least 1,000 others have been found dead, all mysteriously. Balochistan is now known as the land of missing people. In 2014, senior journalist Hamid Mir was shot. In 2015, human rights activist Sabeen Mahmood was silenced. This is what the ISI does, goes after dissidents, within Pakistan and without. The death squad went after Baloch activists who fled to Afghanistan. December 2018, a suicide blast struck a Baloch camp in Kandahar. Pakistani media said a mastermind of the Chinese embassy attack in Karachi was killed. No word on the ISI's involvement. No questions raised on the targeting of the Baloch. A few weeks later, this happened. Car bomb targets Baloch insurgents in Kandahar, same place that targets again the Baloch. Again, am I the only one? Or can you too spot the obvious coincidence? Pakistan's death squad is also going after the Pashtuns. It was reportedly behind journalist Daniel Pearl's murder too. Pearl was in Pakistan in 2002. He was investigating the link between the ISI and the Al-Qaeda. Pearl was kidnapped in January. The video of his beheading was sent to the US consulate 1 month later. Omar Saeed Sheikh was convicted for Pearl's murder. 2nd of February 2020, Pakistani blogger Ahmed Goraya was assaulted outside his home in the Netherlands. The attacker threatened to kill Goraya, told him he knows exactly where Goraya and his family live. The Pakistani blogger told Reporters Without Borders, the attack fits the modus operandi of Pakistani spy agencies. This article says at least 2 other Pakistani journalists in refuge in Europe are being threatened by the ISI. You may have heard of this man, Hamid Karzai, the former president of Afghanistan. The ISI tried assassinating him too. Why? Too friendly with India. The ISI has played multiple roles in Afghanistan. For starters, it created the Taliban. I'm not saying this, I'm citing Nasrullah Babar. He was the interior minister in the Benazir Bhutto government. In 1999, this is what he said: "We created the Taliban." Let me also quote Colonel Chris Vernon. He was the British Chief of Staff for southern Afghanistan, 2006. He told The Guardian, "The thinking piece of the Taliban is out of Quetta in Pakistan. It's the major headquarters." Pakistan also nurtured the Taliban, provided it with arms and maintained the terror group as its strategic asset. The Taliban is just one of the ISI's many terror friends. One report says the ISI spends around $250 million every year on terror groups. Where does this money go? On salaries, cash incentives, porters, informers. This death squad orchestrated the 26/11 attacks. Look up David Headley's testimonies. The attacks on London's transit system in July 2005 have the footprints of the ISI too. In 2006, a leaked report by the British Defence Ministry think tank read, indirectly, Pakistan through the ISI has been supporting terrorism and extremism, whether in London on 7/7 or in Afghanistan or Iraq in 2006. Pakistani leader Asif Ali Zardari was asked about the ISI's links with terror organizations, and this is what he said. Does this mean the CIA has direct links with Al-Qaeda? No, they have their sources. We have our sources. Everybody has sources. Well, yes, they do. No intelligence agencies can come clean on the notoriety test. But tell me one thing. Which agency has such deep ties with terrorists? The Haqqani network, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, Al-Qaeda. Which intelligence agency hides a wanted terrorist? Which intelligence agency terrorizes people abroad? Which intelligence agency peddles drugs? None. And that is exactly why the ISI is far from being an intelligence wing. It is a hit squad, a death squad. Who made it one? Who vested the ISI with such power? Constitutionally, the ISI is supposed to report to Pakistan's Prime Minister. But experts say the government of Pakistan has, quote-unquote, virtually no control over the ISI. Well, you don't have to be an expert to know that. July 2008, Pakistan announced that the ISI will be brought under the Interior Ministry. That decision was revoked within hours, not days, hours. 2 months later, the ISI chief was replaced. Former President Musharraf's pick had to leave office. Army Chief Ashfaq Parvez Kiani picked Shuja Pasha to head the ISI. Most ISI officers are from the army anyway, so that's where their loyalties lie. One expert said the ISI does what it is told. It may push the envelope sometimes. So who tells the ISI what to do? Listen to this.
एक दिन हमें जनरल मुशर्रफ हैं जो उस वक्त आर्मी चीफ थे, उन्होंने मुझे और मियां शहबाज शरीफ को अपने घर खाने पे बुलाया। अगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर इजाजत दें तो हम अल्ताफ हुसैन को एलिमिनेट कर देते हैं। उसमें मैंने रिएक्ट किया, मैंने कहा, जन साहब आपको एहसास है कि वो एक और मुल्क में है, और अव्वल तो ये सारा मसला एलिमिनेशन का ये मुनासिब नहीं है, मगर 2 मिनट के लिए अगर इसकी आपकी ये बात मानी जाए तो इसकी बड़ी सीरियस इंटरनेशनल रिपरकशंस होंगे।
क्या मुमकिन भी है? वो मानते थे कि मुमकिन हो सकता है?
आगे से जनरल साहब ने कहा कि नहीं, हमारे पास मीन्स हैं और हम तक ये बात नहीं आएगी।
So the command comes from Rawalpindi. And as the former Interior Minister of Pakistan said, the army and the death squad have means of covering up. In other words, enough layers and proxies. It is difficult to trace ISI killings. Countries like Canada do not even try. What does this mean for the world? In 1984, an Indian diplomat in the United Kingdom was abducted and killed. It is hard to dissociate the ISI from Ravindra Mahatre's killing. The operation was orchestrated through a proxy terror outfit. The assassins have now struck Sweden, Canada. These countries could do nothing. This is Pakistan signaling to its dissidents a challenge to world leaders that its death squad's playground is no longer limited to Balochistan or Afghanistan. More high-profile assassinations could be in the pipeline, and your country could be next.
Gravitas Plus, co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.